Hi, and welcome to the stream. My name is Eric, otherwise known as Midnight, and just calling to chiming in to see if anyone's out there that wants to talk about RPGs, other geeky stuff, and to see if anyone's interested in just hanging out with me and talking, gaming stuff, board gaming, stuff like that. I don't know if there's anyone watching right now. If someone's watching, please chime in. Let me know you're there. Otherwise, I will be doing a lot of talking to myself. So, yeah, this is an experiment in communication, I guess. Well, what I wanted to talk about was world building, primarily. I've recently got involved in, I have this superhero RPG setting that I recently, why am I getting no second? Is anyone hearing me? I'm not sure it's working. Is it, yeah, okay, everything's working. Okay. Yeah, let me just check my output because my headset's not picking up sound. I apologize to this, folks. It's the growing pains of a new system here. Okay, that's working too. All right. So I guess I really don't need my headphones for now. So I'll take them off. And yeah, so I've been recently working on a superhero RPG setting that I started over a decade ago. And I picked it back up because I was recently watching another YouTube streamer, a gaming streamer, Bear the Forever GM, or the Gen X GM. He goes by both. And he was talking how he was using AI tools to help him in writing a novel, no less. And I went, hey, I could use those same technologies to help me plan out my RPG setting and see what would come of it. So I fired up ChatGPT and started inputting some of the information I had collected previously on various bulletin boards and bits of Word documents and such, and using that as a basis, and started firing off some queries to ChatGPT to see what it would make of it and what suggestions it could have. And I've come up with some really deep stuff. It's been interesting between working with the AI. It has made some wonderful suggestions, and then I've refined them a lot, and we've managed to put together a good basis of information. Now, the setting used to be called St. Nicholas. It's a city in Louisiana on the Gulf Stream, a rival to New Orleans, but obviously completely fictional. Now, I didn't have a whole lot of information because at the time we were playing in another superhero RPG setting, and it had been fairly well fleshed out. It was called Vanguard City. It was running, and the primary GM for that city was my friend P. Mikey. So this was going to be originally designed to be my split off and my little world within the same universe that we could interact with, share stories between, have heroes or villains travel from one to the other. But it never quite took off because when we originally designed Vanguard City, it was started as a community project where the primary players and others who were on the bulletin board at the time would respond to, we would put up prompts in the board, like create or name the most popular restaurant chain in Vanguard City. And they would then go about and detail out and create this fictional restaurant chain. And so that would slowly flesh out the city. After, I believe the This was a diner style operation that eventually was come up with by P. Mikey. And it was called Susie Q's. And the tie back was that Susie Q was the daughter of a famous World War II hero. So stuff like that. And then we would tie various locations together. I worked on a big map for it, which can still be found somewhere on my hard drive at the very least. And we went from there. And it got fairly fleshed out. At one point, we were having we had a fiction writing competition where we would put up a scenario or a blurb about, let's say, holiday capers or something. And 4 or 5 people would write out, small essays, small fiction pieces, complete with stats for the villains and the heroes involved. And there would be a vote as to who would win that round of writing. And it was a lot of fun. I didn't participate as much as I could have or should have, just because I've always found, and this is why I went to the AI tools, I've always found writing a bit of a chore. Not that I'm bad at it, not that I'm not imaginative. It's just that I always found writing a chore. Don't know why. It's probably left over from school. I don't know. Funny thing is, I do a lot of writing for work, and that probably doesn't help either, because I've spent times as a technical writer at work, and I do a lot of writing. I guess it's because I do so much that I just, when it comes to doing writing for myself, I'm like, it'll do tomorrow, or I'll do it the day after, or maybe sometime later. So, sorry, I was just checking to see if anyone's been watching. I can't tell. There might be some people watching on Facebook, but I can't be sure. But I have to put those headphones down. Yeah, so I never really fleshed it out, worked on it as much as I should have. So when I heard Bear talking about using generative AI and large language model tools to speed up his production process on writing his novel, which apparently was amazing. He finished I think he said a 65,000 word novel in 12 chapters in a little under a week. And it's up there on his Discord, and apparently it's pretty good. It's a bit of a romance, adventure, fantasy, typical D&D stuff, but it apparently, I haven't checked it out yet. I want to, but time allowances being what they are, you don't always have time to do everything you want to do, right? Yeah. As a friend of mine just reminded me today, when I described my setting as a failed setting, he says, no, you didn't fail. You just shelved it because you didn't have time, which is essentially true. And I've been in the past way too hard on myself for things like that. So essentially I picked it up. It used to be called, as I said, St. Nicholas City, but now I've renamed it to Port Dominion. And between the AI and myself, we've come up with a lot of interesting story hooks and backstory for the world and the multiverse this is in. One of the things that I always had percolating in my brain was that I've always been fascinated by the Tunguska explosion in Siberia in 1908, I believe. It's in my notes. Hang on, I can go check, but I think it's 1908, where they suspect a cometary fragment grazed the earth and airbursted over the forest, the taiga, in Siberia, in a place near Tunguska, and it flattened trees for miles. Apparently, the blast was heard, and the flash was seen all the way to London. And I was always fascinated by that event. It's just because at first no one knew what it was. They still don't know for sure what it was. They don't think it was a meteorite because they never found any remains of the object itself. So that's why they're surmising it's a cometary fragment, or maybe the meteor itself airburst, and the destruction in the airburst was so complete that there was nothing left. Possible. It never impacted the ground though. So I've always, like I said, been fascinated by that particular idea and that event, which is a real world event. And so I said, how can I work that into superheroes? And I said, okay, we have legends going back in history forever of heroes, gods, monsters, things like that. And I said, well, okay, well, so there's a tradition of heroics in our mythology, our legends. Now, what if what we consider myths and legends today, weren't myths and legends, but actually were true? Kind of like what Marvel and DC have done. Hercules was real, so was Thor, and there have been heroes in the past. So I said, yeah, okay, that's pretty standard fare. Now, I've always had a problem wondering why, okay, in the past, there weren't very many heroes. There were quite a few, but they weren't a lot, and they were spread out over time. But as you get closer to the modern age, specifically after World War I, the number of heroes seems to increase and multiply. So there's more heroes around now, or maybe it's just because we hear about them more in the various comic books and media than there were previously. So I said, what could have caused that? So I postulated to the AI. I said, okay, here, I asked it. I said, first, are you aware of what the Tunguska event is? It actually knew. So I said, what if the Tunguska explosion, something about the meteor, when it airburst, released a bio weapon into our atmosphere that caused, and it over time modified the human genetics, so that although we had the ability to express superpowers in the past, hence the heroes and stuff, it actually increased the rate and the facility at which this could occur over time. And it was like, yeah, no problem. And it broke it down for me, gave me all kinds of explanations, and it gave me various things that could happen. And the surprising thing is it gave me a lot of encouragement. The AI will come back, hey, this is a great idea. This will be the implication, and it would give me the implications within the scenarios and the world setting information that I gave it, which was fantastic because it helps me keep everything coherent and mesh together. So that was, really, really handy. So that was one of the first things that said, okay, gods and monsters and heroes were real in the past. This thing happened around 1908, before World War I. And since then, the prevalence of heroes has increased. So I established that. Then I said, okay, now I need a place to set so then I went back and I said, okay, I had been working on this port city in the Gulf of Mexico, not far from New Orleans, just south of Lafayette and west of New Orleans, on what's called Vermilion Bay. You can find it on the real map. And I said, okay, well, this is where I've placed it, because you'd be surprised if you want to put a superhero city on a coastline in the United States or Canada. Well, northern Canada, probably easier, but on the eastern seaboard, all the way from Maine to Florida, or from northern, maybe all of California for sure. I don't know about Seattle and Washington, but there's not a lot of free land out there anymore, enough to plunk down a city. It's hard to find. And the land that is available is, in this case, I had to say, well, geographically it's a little different, because a lot of the land area where I put the city is actually bayou. It's not usable to build, not really. But in Port Dominion, it's not bayou, it's solid land. So there's bayous around it, but this particular area is just, was buildable. So and then I guess over time they've done landfills and stuff, and like they did in Boston, filling in the Back Bay to make habitable area so they could build housing. They've probably done that in Port Dominion. So I said, okay, so I have this city. I said I'd probably be founded somewhere around the period when the French were still occupying that land, before the and that's a question I have to ask what the implications of it and the Louisiana Purchase would be. by Jefferson. But so the French obviously colonized that area of the United States very early. I think the Spanish, then the French. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know the French were in there last, I believe. And so I said, okay, it was founded shortly after New Orleans. And it was a bunch, and I came up with this idea that it was a bunch of people like the Pilgrims leaving religious persecution in Europe, but they were French, so they're Catholics. France is Catholic. Why would they be fleeing religious persecution? I sort of painted myself into a corner there. It's like I had a reason, I had a place, but the reason didn't make sense based on the place that they came from. So then I said, okay, I turned to the AI. I said, okay, here, I have this problem. Why would these colonists be fleeing religious persecution from France? They're Catholic, France is Catholic. You know, if they were Protestant, I would have said, okay, no problem. And sorry, to back up a bit, I had determined they were Catholic because one of the major landmarks in the city is a giant cathedral, you'll see the tie back, is a cathedral in the old town or center of town called St. Nicholas. Yes, St. Nicholas, the same St. Nicholas as Santa Claus, but he has a very wide portfolio, probably one of the widest portfolios in Catholicism as to saints. He's patron saint of sailors, which will come in later. He's patron saint of children, reformed thieves, prostitutes, pawnbrokers, and a half dozen more. So he's a very interesting character, actually. And he's become, over time and place, he's become Santa Claus. So I've got a church to Santa Claus, essentially. Well, the original Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, in the center of my city. And how that's going to impact the flavor of the city itself. So they were Catholics. So because I knew if there's a church to St. Nicholas, I don't believe, I could be wrong, but I don't believe the Protestants are actually followers of St. Nicholas. I guess they honor the saints in a general sense, but not specifically, not like Catholics do. So I said, okay, so they're Catholic, they're coming from France. France is Catholic, makes no sense. ChatGPT came back to me and said, oh, that's not a problem. He said that there are many movements in France that could have caused this. He said, one is they could be Montagnesque, which it was a sect of Catholicism that believed that the Pope was the ultimate authority, and that and there was another sect called the Galicians, which believed that civic authority and had a role to play in religion. And apparently Galicianism was in ascendance at that time. So he said they're Montaigne, and they're just leaving because they don't want the government interference or the hierarchy that church coming in, because they're very much papists. They believe in the direct authority of the Pope. So they got on a boat or boats, and they headed to the New World. They headed to the New World, and here's where St. Nicholas comes in. As they arrived in the Gulf of Mexico, big hurricane blows up, almost wrecks the ships, the fleet. One of the leaders of the expedition is a priest. He prays to St. Nicholas, the patron saint of sailors, and they're saved, and they land on a spit of land just outside of what would now be Port Dominion. Wonderful thing. It gave me the rationale that allowed me to proceed exactly the way I wanted. It said, oh yeah, no problem. I find it very, very good. And it help you get out of writing yourself into a corner. Yeah, it can really do that. And that was one of the things. I had written myself into several corners that using ChatGPT, I managed to avoid, or at least find a workaround. But world building is not easy. It's not easy. It's a brain buster. It works best when you've got help, or you've got people willing to throw in ideas. Ideas are the lifeblood of Oh, I see someone liked it, and there's 2 watching. Hey, there we go. Oh, 2 people. Hey, so apparently there's 2 people watching. If you could just pipe in, let me know that you're there. I'd really appreciate it. Let me know where you're watching from. That'd be great. It's not easy. World building. It's tough. People that can have imaginative failings. When I say pipe, by the way, sorry. When I say pipe in, just leave a comment and it'll show up, and I'll be able to see it. No problem. It's not easy. Your creative juices can lag. Your enthusiasm can lag, because when you paint yourself into a corner and you can't think of a way out, it's really easy for that enthusiasm to wane, and for you to lose enthusiasm for the, just lose enthusiasm for the project. And then, of course, you end up putting it on the shelf, and it sits there as an idea that could have been, should have been, did not turn out, which was the case with St. Nicholas, now Port Dominion. But I would love to get some feedback to find out, those of you out there who are GMs, who have tried to work on your own settings and or come up with original adventures or towns for your campaigns, even if be it fantasy, horror, whatever, and what were your stumbling blocks? How did you get around them? What did you do? If you could let me know, I'd really appreciate that. Just drop a comment, and or if anyone's interested in joining in, let me know, and I can send you a link so that you can get on here with me and we can discuss it one way or the other. But let me just pop open my notes here, just so I can. Okay, hang on. Cancel. Because I'm working on this, but I haven't memorized every detail yet. It hasn't completely integrated into my head yet. Okay, let's just cancel that. Where would I put it? There, put it there. Oh, you know what? I'll do it that way. There we go. It's all over here. There we go. Yeah, if you want, we have a Discord for the stream and for Midnight's Lair in general. And if you want to be invited, just let me know, and I'll gladly send you the invite to the Discord. And here, let me see. Okay. Why am I not seeing all my information? Oh, because the documents are all here. That's why. Here, introduction to the Vigilant, and I call my universe the Vigilant universe. When we originally started playing superheroes back when we were in our late teens, we started with a system called Villains and Vigilantes. It is not the first superhero role-playing game. That nominally goes to a system called Superhero 2044. Yeah, 2044. But it had a fatal flaw in that it had pre-gen heroes, but it didn't have a coherent system to create new characters, from what I've been told and I think what I've read. Villains Vigilantes first edition was the first superhero game on the market. After that was a complete system in and of itself. Kind of sketchy for the first thing. But then shortly thereafter, they released the second edition, which was a complete game, all I think in 78 pages. It's a thing of beauty. It shows its age these days, but it's still very, very playable and much beloved by many, many people. In fact, I think it's one of the first generic systems that came out. It predates Champions. Champions did later outshine it, but that's another story. But so we started playing V&V, and as it's known, and our first superhero group was called the Vigilantes. Very imaginative for young teens, eh? And we, forgive me if I'm looking all over the place. I look all over the place when I'm thinking. I apologize for that. And so based on the villains and vigilantes and the vigilantes, I decided to name in honor of that, I called my universe the Vigilant Universe. So I've got my document here. Oh, is it not opening? Why did it not open? Oh, no. I spent all that time yapping and yammering, but nothing opened. Oh, here it is. All right. We've got there we go. I'm going to move this down here. There we go. And I've got let's see. Welcome to, okay. So then here's if you don't mind, I know it can be boring. I'm just going to read a little bit from the introduction that I've put together. Introduction to the Vigilant Universe. Welcome to the Vigilant Universe, a dynamic, immersive superhero setting where extraordinary individuals have shaped the course of history. From ancient myths to legends to modern tales of heroism and villainy, this universe is a tapestry woven with the threads of mysticism, advanced technology, and human potential. At its heart lies Port Dominion, a city unlike others, brimming with cultural richness, technological innovation, and supernatural intrigue. A world of heroes and villains. It has a timeless legacy. Superheroes have always existed though they were rare in ancient times, influencing the stories of gods and legendary figures. A modern emergence. The Tunguska event in 1908, I was right, catalyzed the rise of superpowers, making them increasingly prevalent in the 20th century. Diverse origins. From genetic mutations to mystical awakenings and technological advancements, the origins of superpowers are as varied as the heroes and villains who wield them. Now, based on that, you'd say this is pretty vanilla. Now, which it got, I'm not tooting my own horn, it is kind of vanilla. But that's what I wanted. I'm a fan of Marvel and DC. And while I like the divergence in the, Elseworlds and the Marvel's Ultimates universe and stuff like that, those are great. But I'm a mainline canon kind of guy, basically. And if I'm going to run superheroes, I want to run it in a mainline canon feeling universe. So that's what I've created. Port Dominion, a city like no other. Welcome to Port Dominion. Nestled along the Gulf of Mexico near the encroaching bayous, Port Dominion is a city of contrasts where cobblestone streets echo with Zydeco music and skyscrapers pierce through ancient mists. The air hums with stories of resilience, mystery, and power. Here, Cajun tradition thrives alongside cutting-edge technology, and the natural world whispers secrets to those who dare listen. Whether you're drawn to its festive parades or shadowed corners, Port Dominion is a city where anything is possible and danger is never far away. A cultural melting pot. Founded by French Catholic settlers in the 18th century, Port Dominion blends Cajun and Creole traditions, Catholic heritage, and supernatural mysticism, along with advanced technology. A mystical nexus. The city is the hub for a spiritual and mystical activity, with landmarks like St. Nicholas's Cathedral and Bayou Bastion. A technological powerhouse, home to cutting-edge companies like Aegis Advanced Solutions and Dominion Energy Consortium. Port Dominion is a beacon of innovation and industry. See, it's starting to feel, and a lot of these suggestions came from the AI. I'm sorry if I'm preaching the AI, but it really helped me do this, and I am impressed. I don't think I could have done a lot of this work had it not been for the AI's help. I mean, I could have, but it would have been a lot harder and a lot longer to do. And I may never have gotten done. And this is just like a basic summary that it put together for me based on the information that I've thrown back and forth with it. Call me stupid, but I actually, at one point, because it likes to refer to you by name, right? So it asks you your name. So I told it, my name's Eric. They go, oh, great, Eric, nice to meet you. It's very conversational. And I said, oh, it's like, so what do I call you? He says, well, you can call me Chat GPT, or I don't know. I said, what if I call you Steve? He said, Steve's great, no problem. I'm Steve now. So now my Chat GPT session is called Steve. Themes of the Vigilant universe. Balance of opposites. Heroes like Whitetail and Grey Wolf embody harmonies between nature and humanity, life and death. Now, Whitetail and Grey Wolf, Whitetail more specifically, is a heroine out of Illinois, actually, that was developed under the old Vanguard City setting that my friend P. Mikey was running. It was sort of a NPC off in the corner. I designed for it. And I decided to reuse the character here. And Grey Wolf was supposed to be her partner, but he was never very well detailed. Conflict and redemption. Figures like Nicholas the Protector and Krampus highlight the tension between justice and vengeance. Nicholas the Protector is an interesting character that the NI came up with. And yes, he's what you think he is. He's a variant on Santa Claus, but more around the saint itself than the folkloric legend. But there's an overlap a little bit. So I'm liking the way he's turned out. Mystical versus technological. The interplay between mystical forces and technological advancement creates a dynamic setting of stories. Cultural and historical depth. The city's unique history and traditions enrich its character, making it a compelling backdrop for any tale. You know, it's, yeah, like I said, and that's just the basic introduction. There's much more in-depth information that was produced by myself with the help of the AI that's really, really starting to, it's getting me more excited about creating this world than I have been in creating something in about 15 years, over a decade. So that's amazing that I've managed to recapture, you know, for lack of the quote Austin Powers in my mojo, you know, but which I never had much of, by the way, but you know, what little mojo I have, it's come back. And I'm amazed. It made the process so much easier, and you know, feeding it my ideas and helping me work out the details is amazing. I really recommend it to anybody else who wants to try it. It will help you enormously. I mean, I'm primarily focused right now on my superhero setting, but I am 100% positive. In fact, I know it can do it. It can take a fantasy setting, a cyberpunk setting, horror setting. It can help you with any of those settings. You know, and I'm sorry if, you know, people came here hoping, looking for a little bit more generic fantasy advice or talk, but right now my mind is frankly straight into the superhero genre, which in itself is an over genre that can handle everything. So, you know, it'll handle fantasy, it'll handle horror, it'll handle but just about anything you throw at it. So I think it's sort of the uber or the genre. It can do them all. Low power, high fantasy, it can do everything. So, I mean, a good superhero game can be a treasure because you don't have to leave that rule set to do anything you want. Yeah. Well, seeing as I've blathered on for quite a while, let's see, how long have we been going now? I don't know. Started at 2:30. It is now 3:30. So I've been blathering on for about an hour now. That's amazing. Wow. And there's 2 people watching. But if, like I said, if anyone wants to join in or come online with me, that'd be great. We can talk, hash stuff out, bounce opinions back and forth. If I can help you with anything related to campaign creation, I'd love to. Let me know, or hit me up on Facebook, or you can reach me at. I'll put it in the description below. I didn't do it yet, but I will. Midnight's MIDNIGHTS Lair LAIR RPG @gmail.com, and I'll answer your questions. No problem. Again, like I said, I'll put the email link and a link to my blog site, which is not as active as it should be, because writing. And there's a forum community attached to that to discuss things back and forth. You'll find it up top. It's been long neglected, but I think it's about time that it resurfaced and came back. So like I said, if you want to reach me, you can reach me that way. Well, thanks for listening. There's all 2 of you out there. I guess I'll sign off for now. So, this is Midnight signing off, and maybe we'll do one of these again, and maybe not. Hopefully I pick up a few more viewers over time, and we can get a conversation and a community going, because that's what I'm really interested in here, is building a community around gaming. Mostly I'm located in Montreal, well, Laval, Montreal, suburb of Montreal. I have friends in England on the web. Hi, Tim. Tim Knight, the Acrobatic Flea from Hero Press. I've known him from years online. He was one of the first, when I used to have a podcast back in the day. We used to have an audio podcast. Me and a friend goes by the name of White Wolf, Luke. He was one of the very first people to ever subscribe to our podcast and listen regularly, and we really appreciated it. And we're still friends to this day. I have no problem with anyone coming from anywhere in the world. Not a problem. But we are focused primarily on the Montreal-ish Canadian. It's sort of an expanding circle. Montreal, Canada, United States, and then the world. So thank you very much for watching. Those of you who are watching, or anyone who watches after the stream is over, much appreciated. Leave a like and a subscribe if you want more information on it when it comes up again. Please, it really would help out to get the channel out to more people. Maybe someday I'll get used to looking at the camera and not my screen, because I don't know. Thanks a lot. Have a good evening. Have a good Friday. Bye. Saturday.